I'm going to start because he'll be right in. Good evening, everybody. We are going to start. Our next member will be up momentarily, but we're a little late, so let's start. I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to explain, because I know there are a few people here that have never done this before, and I'd like to make this as easy as possible. There he is. Hi, Dan. Before we begin, I would like to welcome back again Mr. Garabedian. And we have a new member. I'd like to welcome Mr. Ed Colbert. Tonight is his first night, and I know that he, as well as Mr. Garabedian, will be wonderful additions every month. The City of Peabody Zoning Board of Appeals meets tonight in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, and other applicable laws. Tonight's hearing will be conducted in the following manner. The Secretary will read the legal notice or state that such notice has been waived. All applications will be heard in the order they were received in the City Clerk's office or as otherwise designated by the Chair, and tonight they will be heard in order. The petition or petitioner's representative will present the subject application to the board. So you people that are waiting to speak, or if you have a lawyer or a contractor with you, you are the petitioner. And the lawyer or the contractor is the petitioner's representative. The chair may limit the length of all remarks. All parties in interest will be given an opportunity to speak either in favor or in opposition to a pending application, and the board may receive similar written communications to be placed on the public record. The petitioner will be given the opportunity to refute any such remarks. Okay, now I'll explain what this really means. So, we'll start with number one, obviously. Mr. Senzabar will read what you're here for. You then will come up to the podium, press the little button, turn the microphone on, and you'll state your name and address for the record. And then you tell us, in your words, why you're here. You want dimensional relief for a farmer's porch, an addition, a garage, whatever you're here for, and your reasons behind it. At that point, we will ask you a few questions, if we have any, and then I will open it up to the public. It doesn't look like there's too many neighbors here, but sometimes there are. And I'll say, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak in favor? And the neighbors come up and they say, what a wonderful neighbor you are, and you keep your property beautifully landscaped, blah, 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 and they have no problem with your whatever it is you're here tonight for. And then I'll say, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in opposition? And this is when the best thing you can do before you get here tonight is speak to your neighbors about what it is you want to build. Because if you don't, and they get notification that their neighbor is building a 3-story addition, you're going to get neighbors here to speak in opposition. So if you speak to your neighbors ahead of time, that's the best avenue to go. So if there are any people in the audience to speak in opposition, they come up, state their name and address for the record, and tell us why they don't want you to build whatever it is. If this was a packed house, I would then say, there are times we've had 15 people that want to speak in opposition. After the first 8, it gets redundant. So I would just say, go up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and just say, I agree with the first 8 people, and you get credit for it. That doesn't seem like the case tonight. After that, you or your lawyer or your construction person can come back up to the podium and address some of the issues. Please remember that when you're up here, either you yourself or anybody speaking in favor or in opposition, you keep to the subject matter. You're here for dimensional relief. Under no circumstances do I allow anybody to talk negatively about your neighbor, saying ridiculous things as, we don't want them to put on the farmer's porch in the front of the house because they're a lousy neighbor. Their leaves from the trees fall in our pool, which is in the backyard. The children play the music too loud. Their dog barks all night. I will do this, and that means cut it short, because that's not what you're here for. If you don't like your neighbor because they play music till 4 a.m., take it up with another department, not this department. Okay. The other thing is, after you speak and you're back in your seat, you can't speak from that seat. And I say this every month, and every month somebody decides that they forgot something and they want to yell it out from the seat. Please don't do that. At the end of all of this, we look at each other. Do we have any more questions? No? Okay, fine. We take a vote, either for or against. Let me now also say that not everything can get approved. If everything got approved and you could build whatever you want, then there would be no reason to come to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance. We're very fair. As far as I'm concerned, we're really, really fair. Present it correctly. We do have rules and regulations that we have to follow. If it is denied, that's the way it goes. You just asked for too much. Maybe you can tone it down a bit and come back the next month, but those things happen. Okay. After all of that, after we make a decision, the decision is typed and filed with the city clerk. Once the decision is filed with the city clerk, you have a 20-day appeal period. Our clerk, Carla, can explain all that to you when it's done and over with. In compliance with the open meeting law, this hearing is also being recorded by our clerk. We're also on Channel 9. We stream on Facebook, if you can believe that. And so at any time, you can go back and listen to all of this. When you're up at the podium, please speak directly into the microphone clearly, and only speak when at the podium, not in seats, to ensure that you are on the record. Cell phone videotaping is not permitted without first notifying the commissioner of the ZBA board. The commissioner must then announce videotaping is occurring. It may in no way be disruptive. The meeting minutes are made public. And if you have passed in your application, you're all set for tonight, and this morning you decide to take pictures of whatever, you can't pass them in tonight. New application information, plot plans, rendering, pictures, they have to be passed in to the clerk before the deadline. They cannot be accepted the night of the meeting. I think that's about it. And if you have any questions, ask me later. Right now, we'll start with number 1, Edward Neary.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 20th at 7 p.m. at the Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, on the application of Edward Neary for a variance from the provision of the Zoning Ordinance 2018 as amended Section 7.2 as it applies to the premises known as 26 Jordan Road, Peabody, map 25, lot 83. Petitioner seeks a variance and requires relief to the side yard setback where 20 feet are required and 18 plus or minus feet are proposed. The property is located in R1 zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed at the City Clerk's office and Board of Appeals office, City Hall, in advance and prior to the public hearing.
I just want to say that this evening, Dan, myself, Stephen, Julie, and Mike have voting privileges. Ed and everybody else has debating privileges. Okay.
Oh, boy. Good evening. My name's Edward Neary, 26 Jordan Road, Peabody, Mass. We're looking to propose a 24 by 58 addition. And we're looking for some relief on the right-hand side. We're trying to keep the it's a one-story, one-level living is what I'm trying to do.
Mr. Neary, the existing ranch you have here, that back right corner, do you know how close that is to the property line?
The back right corner. Where we're looking for the relief?
No, not the relief, what you actually have right now. Is it less than 20 feet now?
No.
No? Okay. Do you know at what point it drops below 20 feet as you go back?
I think, I'm not totally correct, but probably about the midway point
Okay.
on the addition.
So that'd only be about 12 feet of an addition then, which wouldn't make much sense. Okay.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? Anybody in the audience to speak in opposition? Watch out, here they come. Is before the board. In favor? Any opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
For two,
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 20th at 7 p.m. at the Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, on the application of Scott and Karen McHale for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2019 as amended Section 7.2 as it applies to the premises known as 11 Griffin Road, Peabody, map 116, lot 188. Petitioner seeks a variance and requires relief to the front yard setback where 20 feet are required and 18 plus minus feet are proposed. This property is located in R1A zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed at the City Clerk's office, the Board of Appeals office, City Hall, in advance and prior to the public hearing.
Scott McHale, 11 Griffin Road, Peabody, Mass. We're looking to put a farmer's porch on the front of our house, and then we are seeking a variance for the front as we will be within the 20 feet that are required from the city line property.
I only have one comment at this point. So this farmer's porches
Yes.
are always pretty, and it's a nice addition to any house. It's just that your reason for a hardship is not a hardship. It's okay. I'm just telling you, we would like to add shelter and additional patio space for entry into our home is not a hardship. That's just a personal reason. Just
Okay.
so you.
Thank you.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? Anybody in the audience to speak in opposition? Hearing none, the matter is before the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
Just for the record, if it were a big garage or a big addition, not that you, I mean, you might come before us again, just make sure it's a hardship, not a personal reason.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 20th, 7 p.m., Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, on the application of Circle Storage LLC, care of attorney John Kelty, for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2019 as amended Section 7.2 and 15.6.5, as it applies to the premises known as 0 Newbury Street, Peabody, map 57, lot 74T. Petitioner seeks a variance to subdivide parcel of land and requires relief to the side yard setback where 50 feet are required and 33 plus or minus feet are proposed. Frontage requirements for subdivision of land under the subdivision control law. The property is located in a BR1 zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed at the City Clerk's office and Board of Appeals office, City Hall, in advance and prior to the public hearing.
Thank you very much. My name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I practice law at 40 Lowell Street here in Peabody, Massachusetts. I'm appearing this evening on behalf of Circle Storage LLC of 320 Charger Street in Revere, Massachusetts. I am accompanied by Jim Sheridan, who is a consultant to Circle Storage, and we are seeking a variance that would allow a 33-foot side yard where a 50-foot side yard is required. I have submitted a plan that shows the exact point at which that variance is required. This is a long-standing issue with regard to, if members of the board are familiar, I've got a much bigger plan that if we take a 1-minute recess, you can see it very clearly what I'm asking for. However, Peterson Auto Body has been occupying a portion of this land for well over 20 years. They and their predecessors in title, and we are not interested in having any kind of litigation, and we want to give that parcel of land to Peterson. And so when we carve out this parcel of land from our land, it creates a non-conforming side yard. And as I suggested, I do have a plan that I could put out in this middle table with a 1-minute recess, and we could see very clearly what the variance request is. Do you want to do that recess?
Is that it?
So it's our hope and intention to solve this long-standing issue to the satisfaction of both parties. And this will result in a minor modification to our site plan review, which is currently being done before which will be before the planning board. And Mr. Peterson will successfully be able to acquire his land, or that land, and we'll be able to move forward. And the gentleman that spoke at the table, his name is James Sheridan, and he's a consultant to my client's Circle Storage.
A couple of questions. So it says that Frederick Peterson has been occupying a portion of the applicant's property for a period in excess of 20 years. The applicant intends to carve out the occupied area, Lot 4B, and convey it to Freddie Peterson. So is there money? What does that mean, convey? Just you're giving it? Is it?
Convey means we're going to give him a deed, and no, there's no money.
So, and then, if that happens, that triangular piece is what we're talking about, correct?
Yep.
Just that triangular piece.
Which is identified as 4B.
So then, the lot is in non-compliance after that, is that correct?
Ours or Fred's?
Yours.
Ours would only be in non-compliance as to that side yard.
So you
The
know you're
area and
creating
everything
your own.
else is fine.
So you do know you're creating your own hardship.
I believe we are not, in as much as we are, this adverse possession claim is out there and could be brought, so the court could actually, were it to be litigated, the court could actually award Peterson that land. So we're trying to be proactive, give him that land and seek the variance. So I suggest it's not self-created.
So why now? Why not 2 years ago?
He was moving forward with this project.
So you're going to give him the land as a perpetual easement, just an easement for,
No, we're actually conveying him that parcel. He'll get a deed for that parcel of land.
Through the chair? Attorney Kelty, do you have any evidence or documentation with you? I guess it wasn't submitted as part of this application that would support that there is a claim being made for adverse possession other than your testimony?
There hasn't been a claim, but Attorney Jason Panos represents Peterson, and there is an agreement between the parties wherein we've said we resolve this issue by carving this piece out and giving it to them, and I'd be happy to supply that agreement for the record.
Yes, I think I'd be more comfortable voting in favor of this if I were to know a little bit more about the history of the property and how legitimate an adverse possession claim may potentially be, and then I might agree with you that you're not actually creating the hardship.
Be happy to supply the agreement. There is no claim been filed in court, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Several years ago, when this issue came up, there was an appeal of a different variance, which we no longer require for this land. There was an appeal taken by Peterson, and it was at that time that the argument developed in terms of did Peterson have the requisite time. We were able to get plans from Eastern Land Survey. We were able to use aerials, and not only has Peterson occupied it, but there was a predecessor entitled to Peterson that took us near to 30-plus years, that parcel of land. There's even a grade change, an elevation change that makes it available and usable to Fred Peterson in a manner that is the land is not particularly available to us. But I'd be happy to file that agreement with the board.
Just through the chair, just to clarify, Attorney Kelty, upon what Dan was asking. So Attorney Panos sent you an actual letter, like a demand letter of sorts, or was it all verbal communication?
There was an alternative communication, because by the time that Attorney Panos gets involved in it, it's well-known fact to us that they've got us, and they've got that claim, and it's sitting out there. So we decided to go this course rather than to engage in any kind of litigation, because we have a storage facility which is in the offing. They want to make that use, so their use would not be interfered by solving this problem. I do.
And just to add to that, through the chair, if I may, would be not just something in writing from Attorney Panos, but I would, it just would be helpful to have some visual. I mean, in the package that we got that was submitted to, along with the application, there's nothing in here that gets into the adverse possession and the history of the property and why there may be a legitimate claim. And I mean, I understand you have that knowledge, but we didn't have that knowledge. So it's really hard to just look at what we have that was submitted to us, and at least for me anyways, and be inclined to vote in favor without at least having a visual of some supporting documentation that goes back to the history.
Ignoring the question, I'm trying to determine whether I could, what the oldest picture, what the oldest aerial would be, and I think that I do have that, because that was, it's part of the file. So if we wanted to perhaps take action contingent upon supplying that information, I'd be very happy to do that.
No, it's not about seeing what it looks like today, because hypothetically, two parties that want to make a deal could present something to the board and say, oh, there's adverse possession, and he's not creating the hardship. You know, this is what needs to happen, you know, in order to make this deal happen. They need to have the variance because it's going to become a non-conforming lot. And I'd just like to see some kind of backup to just understand that and appreciate that. And
Wait till we see it. and not
well,
vote
but
tonight.
wait till we see the documentation. Oh, yeah, but not the actual property.
Right,
We don't
right,
need to do a
right.
site
No,
visit
not a
because
site
I don't care what it looks like today.
Right.
I just want to know what led us to where we're at today in terms of,
So if I'm hearing this correctly and a few other concerns, would it be fair to say that in order to make an accurate and positive vote, you could pass all of this into next month and we could hear this again? Because I know, I mean, I think we have some concerns, and it's just not thorough enough. I just don't think it's thorough enough.
just to expand on that, Fran, I think you made the good point to say, you know, you hit the nail on the head when you said that it looks like the parties are creating the hardship. Now, I think Attorney Kelty has an answer for that, but again, this is news to us today, or at least news to me.
And I still stand by my statement. I still do believe that you creating your own hardship. Not to say that that's good, bad, or indifferent, or I'm crazy over this, but I still stand to what I said, that I think you're creating your own hardship.
Here today to talk about it, then
Anybody in the audience here to speak in favor? In opposition? Nobody here on this one. Jack, what do you want to do?
I want to get the votes. I've learned that very early in my career, that's why I'm here.
And I understand that, so I'm giving
No,
you an
so-
option, dear.
So I learned that very early in my career, and if we need to go to, your next meeting is June 12th, then I could put together that package for your June 12th meeting. So that would be a copy of our agreement with any kind of photographic evidence, or from the prior counsel for Mr. Peterson before Mr. Panos, any of their demand letters and such.
Sure, and even just a blurb, you know, a written summary, and attach what you may have to back that summary up would be helpful to me, you know, just because, you know, we get these packages a week or two before the hearing, we have a chance to review them and, you know, to decide on the fly. And I also think that the public should have a chance to, you know, if they are interested in this application, they should have an opportunity to review. No, I know. Well, nobody today, but it's a bare bones application. I mean, there's nothing to it. So there's nothing to, you know, to vote in favor or against.
I'd love to accept a continuance to the next regularly scheduled board meeting so I could supply you with the appropriate documentation.
So moved.
Motion to continue?
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see you next month on this. On to number 5. 4? Oh.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals, City of Peabody will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 20th, 7 p.m., Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, on the application of Antonio Martins, care of Attorney Ankeles, for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2018 as amended Section 7.2, as it applies to the premises known as 31 Sunset Drive, Peabody, map 121, lot 61. Petitioner seeks a variance to allow for a detached garage and requires relief to an accessory structure, location from side setback where 5 feet are required and 0.8 feet are proposed. Accessory structure from primary structure where 6 feet are required and 4.7 feet are proposed. This property is located in R1A zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed at the City Clerk's office and Board of Appeals office, City Hall, in advance and prior to the public hearing.
Good evening. My name is David Ankeles. I practice law at 246 Andover Street, Unit 1, Peabody, Massachusetts, and I'm here tonight to represent my good friend Tony Martins, the owner of the property at 31 Sunset Drive, Peabody. Tony has lived in Peabody for quite some time. He purchased a lot of land way back in, I believe it is 1994. It is part of a very old subdivision which was approved in South Peabody in 1950, and at that point in time, I don't believe that the ordinance required the kind of sideline that you have now for a single-car garage. Throughout the subdivision, each and every lot is pretty similar, with approximately 70 feet of width. And as I say, Tony is requesting a variance from the ordinance for the purposes of building a single-car garage with a side yard of 0.8 plus or minus feet, and a distance of 4.7 feet from the primary structure as required in the ordinance to build this garage. I have here tonight if I may, Madam Chair, submit a letter from the a letter from the direct abutter, if that's acceptable, stating that they are in favor of the request before you tonight. Mr. Martins did do his homework. He did speak to his neighbors, and I think you'll find that everybody is supporting him and has no problem with his request. Madam Chair.
My name is Denise Flamia. I live at 29 Sunset Drive, Peabody. My home is next to, on the right of Antonio Martins. I've lived on Sunset Drive and have been Antonio's neighbor for many years. He spoke to me concerning building a garage and showed me the proposed location along with the picture of the garage. I have no problem or concerns with the location of the building of a garage. Denise Flamia.
So I have one quick question. The abutter is not here, right? So can you tell me where the garage is situated and where the abutter has no problem with it? What exactly is there in their yard?
Excuse me, if you look at the house from the street on the right-hand side, you'll see on the plot plan that was submitted the location of the proposed structure. It's a garage. Right there now is a fence that both the abutter and the applicant erected together. In order to erect the garage, he is going to take down a portion of that fence, establish the garage, and then reestablish the fence for the lady that lives next door.
But I wanted to know what is on the abutter's property that is so close to that garage? Is it on the other side of the fence? Is it a backyard? Is it
It's a backyard. There's nothing. Just a backyard.
Through the chair. Couple of questions, Council. Can you confirm that the neighbor next door who submitted the letter in support was given a copy of this plan so that she knows that it's going to be so close? And also, in terms of reconstructing that fence, is she aware? I imagine that the work is going to have to get done on her side of the property. Has that been conveyed to her? And are there going to be any issues with getting onto her land to maintain that fence and construct that fence?
Mr. Martins and his neighbor have always gotten along extremely well. The lady living next door is separated, and they have no disagreement. She was shown a picture. She understands what has to be done, and has been, quite frankly, very, very supportive.
Just one follow-up question, if I may, through the chair. You mentioned that the many of these lots in this neighborhood require variances for garages, and I don't doubt it. I just wonder, and I don't know if you know, But I just would like to ask if you know of any variances that are this tight to the property line, less than a foot for a garage in
Yes,
that neighborhood.
I believe that there are. I don't have copies of them, but as I go up and down Sunset Drive, it's obvious to see. If you would like to take a look at the subdivision plan, it becomes obvious that there is a need for a variance if any type of accessory structure is constructed. In addition, since the subdivision was approved and the house was built, our ordinance has changed to require that 6 feet between the principal structure and the garage, and you'll see that it is approximately 4.7 feet. Would you like to see a copy of the subdivision plan for the entire?
No, that's okay. We do have a map, looks like a GIS map that was printed, that does show the narrow lots, and we can see about a dozen of them, so I can see what you're talking about. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
We have a proposal here. Go ahead. And let me just state that this is what we're going to propose. This .8 is a ridiculous variance. I mean, that it's almost, they should just buy the other house. I mean, it's a lot to ask for. So we have a little compromise.
A few of the board members have discussed it, and we can open it up to a bigger discussion, and I don't know if everybody's going to be on the page, but at least the few of us down on this end that we can, thought that it might be more favorable if we were to reduce the size of the variance that you're looking for between the accessory structure and the primary structure, perhaps by a foot or so, and then increase or lessen, I guess, the variance, but increase the distance between what will be the new fence and the garage by a foot or so. So if that was more like 3.7 feet between garage and house, and then you'd have 1.8 feet, is something like that, would that be amenable?
Yes, that's a very acceptable proposal.
I mean, the only concern I would have, not even concern, but the only question I would have is the ability to construct it. If it's closer to the primary residence, would that cause a construction problem in
Well,
building
they
that
can't even-
side? I don't know. There's no contractor here to say yes or no, but I don't see an issue with it. I mean, right, exactly. Yeah, so I don't really see an issue with it. I don't think there's any reason to bring it back before us. I think we have the ability to shift from one, because there's a variance on both sides, left and right.
Do you think a foot is the good compromise?
I think so. I think a foot's good. It doesn't make it too tight to the house, but
With 1.8 feet, like you could conceivably walk around the garage.
yeah, a person could walk between it if necessary
Right.
to maintain it or whatever else.
Storm comes and the fence comes over, you can go back.
of having it tighter, tighter to the house and walking around. It's thinking more like a maintenance. If you have 0.8 feet, it's only like 9 inches. You can never get between it. You could have rats, you could have everything. Yeah. Right, it's like 10 inches, 9 inches. Yeah. But we still need to see if everybody.
Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? In opposition? Okay, go ahead.
Motion to close the public hearing. And a motion to a motion to approve with the condition that the the setback for accessory structure location from the side be increased from 0.8 feet to 1.8 feet, and the accessory structure location from the primary structure be reduced from 4.7 feet to 3.7 feet.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the proposal. Thank you very much.
And just to note, Mr. Osborne has arrived, and the voting switches from Garabedian to Osborne. Number 5.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals of the City of Peabody will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 20th, 7 p.m., Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, on the application of Kyle Maltner and Jennifer Cruz for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2019 as amended Section 7.2 as it applies to the premises known as 12 Ruth Ave, Peabody, map 59, lot 24. Petitioner seeks a variance and requires relief to the rear yard setback where 35 feet are required, 29 plus or minus feet are proposed, side yard setback where 20 feet are required, and 18 feet are proposed. The property is located in R1B zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed at the City Clerk's office, the Board of Appeals office, City Hall in advance and part of the public hearing.
Good evening. My name's Kyle Maltner. I live at 12 Ruth Ave, and I'm looking to build an addition, seeking relief on my rear yard setback and the side yard setback.
Addition will be,
Did I do the dimensions?
is it going to be a kitchen, a bedroom?
It's a living room, a mudroom, and a bathroom.
Put it on the right side of your house because the left side, the land slopes.
Yeah, it slopes, and it wouldn't make sense on the left side anyways.
Because,
That's all the bedrooms are.
but the hardship is the land slopes, not it doesn't make sense.
Yes, it slopes.
Through the chair, the part that you've labeled as east deck, is that going to stay?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Not I believe so.
Yes, it is.
He's an educator, you know.
So just as a point of, I guess, clarity, since there's an existing deck at the rear, does he even need a variance for the rear yard? I mean, he has an existing nonconformity there. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's requesting less than what he has. I'm just not sure if he even needs a variance for that.
But maybe he needs a... You lived in this house?
5 years?
So maybe Carla, you could look into that. So you see the existing deck? Yeah, I do. You might want to see if, to have a clear plan, to see if there's a variance on that. Would he have to?
Can, okay, I was gonna say, can we move to include that?
I think we can.
I mean, I think with sheds and decks, we should just
I agree.
do it.
Otherwise, it's just a
Let's not make them come back here another time for some other reason.
So see how lucky you are that you came here today? We're going to do you a big favor.
All right.
Because this clears the, your plot plan if we issue you a variance for the deck also.
Okay.
So if you ever want to sell the house, in reality, it might end up to be a problem down the road, but now it's not going to be.
Okay.
How much, do you know how many feet it goes from that existing deck to the rear yard?
I don't.
Well, you're asking for 29 right now with the addition. How much of the deck will stick out past that addition?
Maybe 6 feet.
Yeah. Call 23 plus or minus?
We can say plus or minus to be conservative. Yeah. Make sure we cover it.
Thank you. Mrs. McGrath. So that was cleared up. Questions? Anybody in the audience to speak in favor? In opposition, hearing none, the matter is before the board.
Motion to close? Motion
favor?
Motion to approve?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set. Number 6.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Appeals, City of Peabody, will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 20th, 7 p.m., Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, in the application of Sasha Vasilopoulos for a variance from the provision of the zoning ordinance 2019 as amended Section 7.2 as it applies to the premises known as 34 Raylan Ave, Peabody, map 48, lot 204. Petitioner seeks a variance and requires relief to the right side yard setback where 20 feet are required and 15 plus or minus feet are proposed. Property is located in R1B zoning district. The application and plan are available to the public and can be viewed at the city clerk's office, the Board of Appeals office, City Hall in advance of part of the public hearing.
Good evening. I'm Sasha Vasilopoulos, 34 Raylan Ave. I'm seeking a variance for a 22 by 12 addition for a bedroom and a bathroom.
These plans yourself?
Not me personally,
All
but
right.
Sam did, yeah?
comments? Anybody? We have an empty auditorium. Anybody to speak in favor? In opposition, hearing none, the matter is before the board.
Move to close the public hearing. Move to approve.
Favor? Any opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Favor? All set? All set. Thank you, everybody.